right, so today we're going to dive deep into Cambodian politics.
Yeah.
With
All right.
specifically the life of Hun Sen.
Interesting.
This guy has been in power for like decades.
Yeah.
You know,
It's incredible.
there's got to be like a fascinating story.
Oh, absolutely.
So we're going to unpack excerpts from his Wikipedia article.
Okay.
Kind of like use it as a cheat sheet to understanding a figure who's really shaped Cambodia as, you know, we know it.
He really has.
It's a story that frankly like has it all.
Oh, yeah. Ambition, power struggles, controversy, you name it.
So let's start with the basics.
All right.
Hun Sen, like, wasn't born with that name.
Right.
I think that already tells you a lot about the twists and turns his life would take.
Lots of turns.
He started as Hun Bunal in 1952.
Okay.
Became Rithi Sen, then Hun Samrak.
Wow.
And then finally landed on Hun Sen.
So many names.
Those name changes weren't just him messing around, right?
Yeah. Oh, no, not at all.
Okay.
Each name marks a different chapter, right?
Oh, okay.
Like, almost like he's crafting a new persona
Why?
for each stage of his political evolution.
Oh, that's interesting.
Think about it. Leaving his family at 13 to go to monastic school.
13?
13!
Wow.
You can already see that drive.
Yeah.
That ambition bubbling up early on.
That's wild.
Yeah.
And then at 19, he joins the Khmer Rouge.
Right into the...
What's interesting here is that he's not just, like, swept up in the ideology.
Yeah.
He's motivated by Sihanouk's call to resist and de-anger over the U.S. bombing campaign.
Right. Interesting. Right.
Yeah, reveals a complex mix of motivations, doesn't it?
Yeah.
He's not a one-dimensional figure even in his youth.
Yeah.
And this complexity just grows, right?
Okay.
As he rises rapidly through the ranks, becomes a battalion commander.
He's even there, sustaining an eye injury during the fall of Phnom Penh in 1975.
So we got this young guy, right?
Yeah.
Already experienced in war and leadership.
Absolutely.
At like a pivotal moment
Yeah.
in Cambodian history.
Right.
And then boom, he defects to Vietnam in 1977.
Big move.
I mean, huge. Talk about a high-stakes gamble.
I know, right?
What drove him to that, you think?
Well, it's a move that, like, could have easily backfired.
Oh, for sure.
You remember, this is the Khmer Rouge.
Yeah.
Notorious for its brutality.
Right.
He was fleeing internal purges, sure.
Yeah.
But I also think there's a sense that he saw opportunity there.
Okay.
A chance to, like, play a different role.
Oh, okay.
In shaping Cambodia's future.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And he does just that, right?
He does.
He becomes a leader in the Vietnamese-backed rebel army.
Right.
Adopts the alias Mai Phuc.
Mai Phuc.
Which ironically means forever happiness.
That's ironic, right?
Yeah.
Considering, you know, the controversies that would later plague his rule.
Right.
But think about this. He was just 26 when he became foreign minister after the fall of the Khmer Rouge.
26.
26, making him the youngest in the world at the time.
Oh, wow.
And then at 33, prime minister.
My gosh.
That's a meteoric rise.
Yeah.
To power by any standard.
It's almost like he was destined for leadership.
Right.
Even with all the chaos, you know, swirling around him.
Destiny or like expertly calculated maneuvering.
Yeah.
That's a question worth pondering.
It is.
You can't deny his political savvy, though.
No.
Especially considering the role Vietnam played in all of this.
Right.
They were instrumental in ending the Khmer Rouge's reign of terror.
Right.
But their influence also complicates
for sure
Hun Sen's story.
Right, because on the one hand, he's seen as like a liberator leading Cambodia out of darkness. But on the other hand, his legitimacy is tied to a foreign power.
Absolutely.
So how did Cambodians view him at this point?
Right.
Someone who essentially rose to power with the backing of another country.
That's a crucial question.
Yeah.
Was he seen as a puppet of Vietnam?
Right.
Or a leader capable of
right.
balancing national interests with the need for stability?
Right.
It's a tension that would continue to play out, you know, throughout his career.
And it's a tension that sets the stage for what comes next, the Paris peace talks of 1991.
Yes.
This is where we see Hun Sen stepping onto the international stage.
Exactly. Exactly.
Right.
These talks were meant to like bring peace and stability to Cambodia after decades of conflict.
Yeah.
And Hun Sen was like a key player.
Okay.
Negotiating with other factions.
Wow.
Trying to forge a path forward.
Interesting.
It's a fascinating glimpse into his diplomatic skills and his understanding of, realpolitik.
Oh, I like that word. But of course, like, things don't go smoothly.
Of course not.
There's the UN-backed election in 1993, which Funen Pekek, the Royalist Party, wins.
Wins it.
And here's where things get really tense.
Uh-oh.
Hun Sen refuses to concede.
What?
It's a pivotal moment.
I know, right?
He's not just disagreeing with the results, he's threatening to secede.
No way.
Taking 7 provinces with him.
Wow.
Imagine the turmoil.
Yeah.
The uncertainty that gripped Cambodia at that time.
Really a turning point.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
What was he thinking?
I know, right?
Was this a calculated risk or just pure desperation?
It speaks volumes about his determination to hold on to power, even in the face of electoral defeat.
Wow.
Ultimately, a power-sharing agreement is kind of cobbled together.
Okay.
Hun Sen becomes second prime minister.
Oh, wow.
Sharing power with Prince Ranarid, the leader of Hun Sen Pek.
Right.
But it was a fragile peace. A ticking time bomb waiting to explode.
And explode it did.
It did.
In 1997 with the coup.
Big moment.
Hun Sen ousts Ranarid and takes full control.
Wow.
Looking back, was this coup inevitable?
It's hard to say.
Yeah.
Was this like his plan all along?
Yeah.
Or was he truly reacting to threats from Siam Pek and possible alliances with remnants of the Khmer Rouge?
It's such a good question.
I know that's the million-dollar question.
Yeah.
Was this a masterclass in political maneuvering?
Right.
Or a desperate act of self-preservation?
Yeah.
Probably a bit of both.
Yeah, you'd see that.
The 1997 coup marks a real turning point, right?
Yeah.
It cements Hun Sen's grip on power.
Yeah.
And ushers in an era of single-party rule.
Okay.
It really does.
It feels like we're seeing a pattern here.
Yeah.
From his early days in the Khmer Rouge to his defection to Vietnam.
Right.
And now the coup.
Right.
He seems to, thrive in moments of chaos and upheaval.
He does. There's definitely a sense that he's a master of exploiting these situations to his advantage.
Interesting.
He's shown an uncanny ability to adapt, to position himself as the indispensable leader.
Right.
The only one who can bring stability to Cambodia.
It's like he creates the problem and then solves it.
Yeah, and it's a strategy that's served him well, allowing him to remain in power for an astonishingly long time.
So the stage is set for what we might call the long reign.
Yes.
From 1998 to 2023.
A long reign indeed.
He wins election after election.
Election after election.
But not without controversy.
Of course not.
But we'll dive into that in the next part of this deep dive.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it.
Me too.
Yeah, those election victories, they solidified his position, but they weren't without their share of raised eyebrows.
Right.
Allegations of fraud. Voter intimidation.
Right.
Tightening grip on the media.
Yeah.
These became recurring themes throughout his long reign.
It's a stark contrast, isn't it?
It is.
On one hand, you've got Cambodia experiencing a period of relative stability and economic growth under his leadership. But on the other hand, there's this creeping sense of authoritarianism.
Yeah.
A shrinking space for dissent.
Absolutely. That's the paradox of Hun Sen.
Yeah.
He's credited with leading Cambodia out of the devastation of the Khmer Rouge era.
Right.
Overseeing a period of economic development.
Right.
Even playing a role in attracting foreign investment.
Yeah.
But this progress came at a cost, right?
Yeah.
A cost that many Cambodians felt all too acutely.
And it's a cost that became increasingly visible, especially as a new generation came of age.
Right.
A generation less connected to the trauma of the past. More exposed to democratic ideas from the outside world.
Exactly. And this clash between the old and the new.
Yeah.
Between a desire for stability.
Right.
And a yearning for greater freedom.
Right.
This really came to a head in the 2013-14 protests.
Oh, yes.
Remember those?
I do.
People from all walks of life. Garment workers.
Wow.
Monks.
Wow.
Students took to the streets demanding change, calling for greater accountability.
Those protests were a real turning point, weren't they?
I think so. I think they were a sign that despite his, long rule, Hun Sen's grip on power wasn't absolute. There was a growing segment of Cambodian society that was no longer willing to accept the status quo.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
Hun Sen's response to those protests is quite telling.
It is.
He cracked down on dissent,
yeah,
dissolved opposition parties,
tightened his control.
further tightened control over the media.
Yep, it was a clear signal
Wow.
that he wasn't going to relinquish power easily.
So how did he manage to hold on to power for so long?
Right.
Even with
growing discontent, international pressure.
Yeah. It seems like he had a knack for staying one step ahead.
Yeah.
Both domestically and on the world stage.
He did. He was a master strategist.
He was.
No doubt about it.
Domestically, he cultivated a strong base of support.
Okay.
Particularly in rural areas.
Okay.
Through a mix of patronage, propaganda, and this carefully crafted image of himself as the indispensable strongman.
Right.
The only one who could guarantee peace and stability.
Right. But it wasn't just about, like, domestic politics, was it?
No, not at all.
He was also incredibly savvy in his dealings with the international community.
Oh, absolutely. He was a master.
That's like it.
Of playing the great powers off against each other.
Oh.
He cultivated ties with China.
Okay.
Securing billions in aid and investment.
Oh.
All while maintaining, a working relationship with the West.
Okay.
He even managed to leverage ASEAN, serving as its chair in 2012,
right,
to bolster his international standing. It sounds like he had a real talent for playing the geopolitical game.
He did.
Using foreign aid and investment to, fuel development while also consolidating his power at home.
Exactly. He knew how to work the system, how to turn global rivalries to his advantage.
Right.
But this approach, while shrewd, wasn't without its critics.
Right.
There were accusations of corruption, land grabbing, deforestation, all linked to his regime and his inner circle.
And those accusations weren't just coming from, outside observers, right?
No.
There were also brave Cambodian activists.
Absolutely.
Journalists. And human rights groups raising their voices.
Right.
Often at great personal risk.
Often at great personal risk, yeah. These voices of dissent, while often silenced or marginalized, they played a crucial role in challenging the official narrative.
Right.
In exposing the dark underbelly of Hun Sen's rule.
It's a reminder that history is never just one story, one perspective.
It's never just one perspective.
There are always multiple layers, multiple voices vying to be heard.
Absolutely.
So we've got this complex picture emerging, economic progress alongside political repression, international maneuvering, coupled with domestic crackdowns.
Right. And then in 2023 comes the announcement that shakes up Cambodian politics.
Okay.
Hun Sen decides to step down as prime minister.
It was a move that caught many by surprise.
It did. After decades at the helm, he was handing the reins of power to his son, Hun Sen.
A dynastic succession.
A dynastic succession. It was a bold move.
Yeah.
Almost unthinkable given his tight grip on power.
Yeah.
But was it a genuine step back? Or just a clever way to maintain control from behind the scenes?
It makes you wonder.
Right? Yes.
After all, Hun Sen didn't simply retire.
No, he didn't.
He took on a new role.
He did.
Becoming president of the Senate in 2024.
Right.
It might seem like a less powerful position on the surface.
Yeah.
But it still gives him considerable influence within the political system.
Absolutely.
So is this the end of an era? Or simply the beginning of a new chapter in the Hun Sen saga?
Yeah.
Has he truly relinquished control?
Right.
Or is this just a way to ensure his family's grip on power continues?
That's the question.
It is.
That's the big question mark hanging over Cambodian politics right now.
Yeah.
It's too early to say, for sure.
This transition of power raises so many questions.
It does.
What does it mean for the future of Cambodia?
Right. Will we see a genuine shift towards greater democracy and accountability?
Right.
Or will it be business as usual under a new leadership?
And what about Hun Sen's legacy?
Oh, yeah.
How will history judge him?
Right.
Will he be remembered as the man who brought stability and progress to Cambodia? Or will his authoritarian tendencies and human rights abuses overshadow his achievements?
These are questions that historians and political analysts will be grappling with for years to come.
I think so.
It's a complex legacy.
For sure.
Full of contradictions.
Yeah.
And one that continues to be written even today.
We've talked a lot about the political machinations, the power struggles.
Yeah.
The controversies that have, defined Hun Sen's career. But what about the man himself?
Right.
What were his motivations?
Yeah.
What drove him to seek and hold on to power for so long.
Yeah. It's like...
trying to solve a puzzle.
Yeah.
Trying to piece together the motivations and ambitions of a figure like Hun Sen.
Of a figure like Hun Sen, exactly.
We see the actions, the political maneuvering, but what was the driving force behind it all?
That's the question, right?
Yeah.
It takes us deep into the realm of psychology and political biography.
Right.
Was it a thirst for power? A genuine desire to serve his country?
Yeah.
Or some complex mix of both?
Right.
Some argue that his experiences during the Khmer Rouge era, the violence he witnessed, the losses he endured, it shaped his worldview, instilled in him a deep-seated need for control, a fear of chaos and instability.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine living through that kind of trauma.
I know.
That level of brutality.
It's how to,
It's bound to, leave its mark.
Yeah.
Right.
It's bound to
shape your perception of the world, of what's necessary to survive, to thrive.
Right. And then there's the ambition, too.
Yeah.
The drive that we saw from his early days, leaving his family for monastic school, rising quickly through the ranks of the Khmer Rouge.
Right.
This wasn't someone content to, sit on the sidelines.
Right.
He wanted to be at the center of the action.
Right.
Shaping events, making decisions.
So we got this, potent mix of
trauma,
ambition,
political savvy.
And all of this plays out, right?
Yeah. Against the backdrop of a country struggling to, rebuild itself after decades of conflict.
It's almost like
yeah.
He saw himself as the only one who could hold it all together.
Right.
The only one who could prevent Cambodia from, slipping back into the abyss.
There's definitely a sense of that in his rhetoric, in the way he presented himself, to the Cambodian people.
Right.
He was the strong man, the protector, the guarantor of peace and stability.
Right.
And for many Cambodians, especially those who lived through the horrors, of the Khmer Rouge regime, that message resonated, deeply. It's really interesting because his story really highlights the complexities of leadership, the blurred lines between good and bad.
It's true.
Between, ambition and a genuine desire to serve. He achieved real progress in terms of economic development and stability.
Yeah.
But at what cost?
It's a tough question.
Exactly. It's a legacy fraught with contradictions. The economic growth, the infrastructure projects, these are tangible achievements that benefited, many Cambodians.
Right.
But then there's the other side of the coin, the suppression of dissent.
Right.
The human rights abuses, the concentration of power in the hands of a select few.
And as Cambodia moves forward, with his son now at the helm, these questions about Hun Sen's legacy, about the trade-offs between progress and freedom, will continue to be debated.
They will. It's a story that's still unfolding.
It is.
A story that demands our, our attention, our critical thinking, our willingness to engage with the complexities of Cambodian history and politics.
Absolutely. And it's a story that reminds us that there are no easy answers. No simple narratives when it comes to understanding, figures like Hun Sen.
Exactly. He was a product of his time, of the circumstances he faced, of the choices he made.
Right.
And his legacy, the man himself, will continue to challenge us, to grapple with the complexities of power, ambition, and the human condition.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the life and times of Hun Sen, we leave you with this. How will you remember him?
Yeah.
What aspects of his story resonated most with you? And what lessons can we draw from his rise and fall? From the choices he made, the path he forged?
The answers to these questions are, of course, yours to grapple with. But what's important is that we continue to engage with this history, that we learn from it, and that we use that knowledge to inform our understanding of the present and the future.
For sure.
Because ultimately, Hun Sen's story isn't just about one man.
Right.
It's about Cambodia. It's about the complexities of leadership.
Yeah.
And it's about the enduring human struggle for power, freedom, and a better future.
Well said. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
It was my pleasure.
We'll see you next time.